Welcome to another Heroes Peak Quick Peek with James and Chris. How you doing, James?
Doing splendid, man. Ooh, the dragons, the dragons!
The dragons. I love dragons. I've said that before. I really do love dragons. But this is a new one for me. We are watching House of Dragon. We've only had one episode before. This is the prequel Game of
House
Thrones.
of the Dragon.
House
Common
of
mistake.
the
Everyone's
Dragon.
doing that.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. But this is the prequel series to the Game of Thrones, as this episode will not let you forget. This episode made sure you knew there was something else that happened that you should go watch. So this is a 10-episode series over on HBO Max. The only thing saving them right now, I'm sure, as they continue to fumble the ball.
Low blow.
Now, there are multiple directors. I'm assuming that the director for this first episode's Miguel Sapochnik, I think is the name. Creator.
Pretty sure it's not, but.
Is it?
Pretty sure you killed it, but that's fine.
Yeah, probably. Creator Ryan Condal. I don't know any of the, obviously based on the George R.R. Martin books. But I don't know much about the original Game of Thrones. I have not watched it, so this will be an interesting series.
Oh my god, so this is where I gotta step up here for you?
That's right. So I don't know if these are some of the same creators, writers, directors. I don't know any of that. Obviously, it's not the same cast, because this happens 172 years prior to the first events, or the birth of the Dragon Lady in Game of Thrones.
Daenerys, the Dragon Lady. Yeah.
The Dragon Lady. So this is about her family. This is about her the original House of the Dragon. Now this has a huge list of a huge cast. So I'm not going to go through the cast unless you want to talk about somebody specific as we go through. But just give it to me. What did you think of this first episode that just introduced us to this wild family reunion?
Okay, let me start by saying that I did not read the books. Never did. I just Wikipedia everything. You know, my housemate actually did read the books and brought me up to speed when I was watching Game of Thrones, which I did watch in its entirety. So unlike you, Chris, I was well armed going into this show. However, I still had a bad taste, and you've heard this before. All of us who watch Game of Thrones, terrible season. They dropped the ball and missed the landing on the show in the final season. So there was some trepidation on this show. Once we knew that the original show writers that were going to take over, who did season 8, the final season, were not involved in this, there was a little bit of sigh of relief. And then we saw the trail like, oh, okay, all right, let's get back on the horse. It's like, Bears fans, oh, maybe this is the year, this is going to be our year. I'm hearing trades are happening.
It's never
But unlike the Bears, this premiere kicked ass. I think this was probably the best premiere episode of a series I've watched all year. That even includes my best series so far of from Apple TV.
Chris Pratt series.
Show?
It's
No, not Chris Pratt series.
Oh,
no. From Apple TV.
Severance.
Severance. Favorite show, but that premiere did not hit as good as this one.
No, it was not as big as bombastic as this was.
Not as big. Maybe there wasn't enough, penis and balls being cut off. People, cesarean sections happening in medieval versions.
Oh, man.
There's a lot that happened in this episode. I was very, very pleased. Obviously, I had to take notes to keep track of characters that I wasn't aware of that would play, down the road into the Game of Thrones saga. So I had to watch the show twice, which I did, and each time I enjoyed it. I'm going to keep it brief. I thought this was a kick-ass premiere, my favorite premiere of the series so far. And it looks like this will probably bring back Game of Thrones fans who felt, kind of let down with the finale of the last series with this one. So that's my take on it. What about you?
Yeah, this was interesting. Like I said, because I have not seen, but I heard a lot about the violence and blood, guts, the whole shebang of the original series, and this kind of was. It felt like it lived up to the hype. They were not afraid to go anywhere. Um, there was one thing I thought they might do that would have. I was like, if that king gets with that kid, I am out of this. But they didn't.
Okay, by the way, they didn't show it on camera, but everyone is hypothesizing that it happened because of certain people, and I want to spoil it if you haven't read the books.
I know.
But yeah.
I knew exactly what the father meant when he sent his daughter in there, but I was like, I'm not watching.
He said, put on your mother's dress. Come on, dude.
I was like, I'm not watching this. I'm not participating. But no, yeah. Assume as I might, they at least didn't go there. There's a few things they didn't show.
You would have problems with the original show then if that was gonna.
So anyway, outside of that, the storyline. At first, I was a bit confused. Obviously, not being inducted into the family, knowing all of the tree or the history or anything like that, I thought I was going to have a much more difficult time. I still don't know any of the names, but I thought the characters were pretty well visually different. Even though they all had blonde hair, and I felt like I was watching a bunch of elves.
The Targaryens.
Yeah.
Even the Black Targaryen. Don't get me started on that one.
All of the characters did feel very individualized. The actions they did, the costumes they did, they were consistent in where they placed people and how they interacted, and I felt pretty much like I wasn't lost going through it, and I was worried that I was going to get lost in a sea of like sweet and blonde hair kind of thing. But I don't know. So far, I think I want one person to live, but I think everybody else can die, and that's okay.
Who's that? Who do you want to live?
I think right now I like the kid. What's her name? Let's see here.
Rhaenyra Targaryen.
The one who took over basically as the heir to the throne.
She plays the princess. Yeah, Rhaenyra. Yeah, Princess Rhaenyra.
I think she did the actor did a really great job of
played by Emma Darcy.
Having those moments. So when her mom dies, and she's at the funeral. There's this great moment where she looks at her dad, and her dad can't get out to have the dragon set the grave alight, and she does some
Dracarys. By the way, if you watch the original show, you would have fangasm about that scene.
But yeah, so she gets it to light, and there's a scene where she's talking to her uncle, and she doesn't believe like her dad will ever, name her as heir. Right? There's several scenes where she's just worrying about her place and what she's there for and what she's allowed to do, and she vocalizes what she would rather be doing, but her mother tells her what she's supposed to be doing, and a lot of people do, and I think they did a great job with that character, kind of setting you up for what she wanted, and now that she basically has what she wanted, and what's she gonna do with it? I think it's a great first episode for that, and also what's her uncle willing to do after he partied after the death of the kid, the nephew. So there was a lot of great work in this scene. What'd you think of Matt Smith?
I was gonna say I was biding my time for my staying out actor was Matt Smith, and by the way, my sister Trisha, who's been on the pod before when we did the Justice League review, she's a huge Doctor Who fan, and obviously she knew that she texted me everybody now praising Matt Smith. Meanwhile, us Whovians, whatever they call themselves, we were smiling like that gif from Survivor where the two people are shocked and then the guy in the back like, I knew all along. Yeah, obviously he's been a great actor for years before he got on the show. To me, yes, he came and he stole the bag. He stood out more than Emmy Darcy, who played Princess Daenerys. The actor who played the King, he's one of those like character role actors. If you've seen for years, like I know his face from somewhere, but I can't recall what movie. Like he was phenomenal too. Right. It's hard pressed for me to find someone who fell flat in their role. Even whether it be a villain or not. The actor who played Hightower, who was the King's Hand, and I don't know if you were able to
Oh, he was really good.
Was.
Right.
He's the one that sent his daughter in.
So
there's a bunch of little actors here and there, and if you knew their place in the lore, you'd pay attention to and realize, oh, they're playing the part of what this person should be like. But nobody stood out better than Matt Smith. I mean, to me, at one moment, I kind of felt bad for him, and in the next moment, I felt like this douchebag deserves to die. You know, and that's exactly what you want from a guy like him.
Yeah, absolutely. He kind of got the meatiest role, like these villains, and this is what seems to me is going to be a house full of villains, right? But he gets that big meaty scenes. He gets to be the bad guy. He gets to be with his mistress and, have that quiet sadness. Maybe not sadness, but like a little bit of self-doubt and a quiet scene, and then go up and just be evil bastard and take his guard,
cut penis and balls.
Right? And basically, and then go to the king's table and like be Macho Man, but
he's like, I'm doing what you're afraid to do. You're too weak to do this. Everybody else is taking advantage of you. I'm here doing the... You love villains like that. Villains who believe in what they're doing is just. Not just pure chaotic evil like the Joker, right. But like Thanos or Killmonger. Like I'm not saying he's at their level, but it looks like his character is written without getting to the books. I'm not a book guy, but I know enough. Looks like... And from what I heard, by the way, this was George R. R. Martin's favorite character he ever wrote in the entire saga. So this is probably a merit to the writer himself, what he really likes about, the entire... But yeah, I love his role. Phenomenal.
Well, and I was glad So there is an obvious spot where I'm like, okay, so he wants the throne. Now he's going to have the king's going to have a baby, and he's going to have to... go and find a way to kill the baby and kill his brother. It's obvious. But they didn't do that. There's a couple of story points where I was like, okay, so they're not just doing straight obvious. They're doing a few left turns for me, and I like that. He can be an asshole, but he can lose too. Like when he was at the tournament, and I'm like, oh, he's gonna beat this guy to death, and
he lost to the Dornish guy,
but he lost, and I was like, oh my god, okay. So, and just little things like that where they're not taking the super obvious.
He also didn't take that defeat well. If you notice, he wasn't like a sportsman.
Right, exactly.
He had good sportsmanship about that loss. He still played as himself, but he accepted that he defeated. He didn't try to...
I thought he was going to stand up and stab the guy in the back and...
I thought he would. I thought he would too. He didn't do that.
Right, so
he just didn't shake his hand,
Yeah, he's more thoughtful than I think I would have expected a villain in his position to be. And I like that. That means I think he's going to be interesting. Especially now that his niece, who he seemed to like, who those two seem to get along, now she's in his way. So that's more interesting to me than his older brother that he's like, he's going to die soon. And the nephew, no, that's not an issue. But his niece that he seems to get along with, that'll be a fun.
One thing I want to say real quick, because I know you didn't watch the original series, which I already see seeds of this in this show, is one of the most interesting things about Game of Thrones, besides like the gore, the softcore porn, the dragons, all the sci-fi element, is the political conniving intrigue that happens on the show between different groups and different families and different people. And you already see that's happening, whether it be the Black Targaryen and his wife, who's the queen that was never...
The queen that was almost the queen, or the queen that never was?
The queen that never was, yeah. Her, with his family. Then you got the Hightower dude who's sending his daughter to be offered. And then, like, the Maester, who was responsible for the mother. There's a lot of this little seeds. So you can't really just focus on Matt Smith as, like, the villain. Game of Thrones does it where you don't quite know. Everyone's kind of equally bad, some worse than others. And then the ones who are truly good, by the way, spoiler, because if you watch the show, they don't last long. If somebody is pure, they get killed off. It's like anime, right? You know something is wrong. Somebody's having a flashback about something. So if somebody seems a little bit too good or too honorable, they're not lasting more than a couple episodes. Yeah, so I like that. I'm already seeing seeds of this in this show. Like the mother. The mother seemed like she was the most honest person. She was giving her daughter lessons learned by, hey, you know, our role is going to be this. I'm like, wow, okay, I like her. And she dies.
Right, and she was like, oh, husband, I tried to give you what you wanted, but my body can't take it anymore. Yeah.
I'm sorry I failed you.
And the king and her seemed to have an actual relationship. He seemed to actually worry about people, which means I did feel like they were going to die. I did feel like the two of them weren't going to last too long. But I did not expect her to go in the first episode.
So I read an article. They screen tested this to a room of women, women who've had children before, women who have not had children before, and to almost 100%, they all said that this was good. In fact, they could have gone further into it in light of what's happening in recent, abortion rights being pulled. They were like, this is like so on the moment, like seeing what women's choice being literally ripped from her. And I was like, wow, interesting. That
king made that decision. He was like, I need that kid. And it didn't work out for him either way. So yeah, I do see what you're saying is there was a lot of whispering. There was side, people looking at each other. Some people, like at the coronation, you could tell the different regions had different reactions when they had to bow. You could see it in them. So all of the all the acting and directing got across those little hints, and I think that for the most part of this show is, for all how bombastic it is with its violence and everything like that, but there's subtle intrigue as well, and there's a lot of interesting.
And that's what made the original show really great until the last season, when it just became a big spectacle. It looks like they're carrying, the kernels of what made the show great into this first episode. At least, who knows? The next couple episodes could be trash, and we'll be sitting there like, what happened to this show? But
like
for now, kudos.
The best TV we watched this year has been consistent throughout the season. Whereas the other TV that we've been like, oh, I really like this, but this didn't really work, and they got left behind, and that went flat, and like that seems to be the hard part. Is not just getting a good episode. It's carrying that, and so we got 10 episodes here to see if they can hold on to this. They could just hold it for a season. So
please, we're begging you.
All right, thanks for joining me, James, and everybody else who watched. Thank you for joining us. I'm hoping you are enjoying this as much as I am. And comment. Come to Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all the socials.
Comment, but please do not book readers. Do not spoil it in the comments. Do not give us exactly what's going to happen.
Do not do that.
Please don't do that.
Please don't do that.
Watch. Right, I'm going to say that, and we're going to have 50 comments right below this.
All right. We'll see you all later. Thank you for joining us.